Hello everyone. So recently I beat Dark Souls 3 for the very first time, and I haven't defeated all of its bosses yet, but I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of go through my whole journey and look through all the bosses that I did end up fighting and just kind of, assign them a tier based on who I think is good boss and who is just a boss that I wish they didn't make. So let's start it with obviously the first mandatory boss. Now this boss, Gundyr, I really like this boss. I think the phase 1 of this boss and even the phase 2 fight alone makes me want to say that this is like an A tier boss. And I think he pretty much deserves that spot because, so for a direct comparison, this guy compares against Soldier of Godric, and he's a tutorial boss, but he's a very like through and through tutorial boss. He's not really a fun tutorial boss where you can actually learn and then apply what you learned. This boss, however, is a bit different. He teaches you quite a bit, and if you are in the whole like parry thing as well, you can go ahead and parry him. Another thing I think is really good at teaching is elemental damage. So you kind of learn that, okay, different things are going to take different kind or amount of damage from different elements. I think that is really good introduction for players into what to expect from the game and what to expect from the things that they're going to get. The only complaint I think I even have about this boss is in the phase 2, I am somebody who likes to play locked on like 90-95% of the time. So for me personally, I felt sometimes if I'm like too close to the boss, all I could see on my screen was the boss and I couldn't see my player. But obviously that's more of my personal preference of playstyle issue, and I think the phase 2 is done pretty well as well. But yeah, an absolutely amazing tutorial boss, or the first boss that you can fight, and this is probably what they need to like set as a standard for themselves going forward. But yeah, I personally feel like he's definitely an A tier boss. Vordt. I actually think Vordt is a really good boss as well. He is probably not better than Gundyr for me, but I think overall Vordt is a really good boss. But I think he's also pretty simple. Like I almost want to say he's even simpler than Gundyr for me. I don't know how I feel about Vordt. I think he's really cool. He's really fun to fight, and if I was to go back in the game, I would enjoy the fight, but I wouldn't also say that he's a boss that, I would install like a mod. Oh, I just want to fight Vordt. Like, he's a good average boss. He's not really like something that I would want to go fight again and again. He's just a boss that exists, and I would not mind fighting him again. Like, while going through a standard playthrough, I think I would not mind fighting Vordt. I don't think I have any complaints against this guy. It's just he doesn't really have anything that would make me say that he's really good. Like, for his position, if he was the tutorial boss, honestly, I would still put him in B, just because his phase 2 just has like a bit of elemental damage. He becomes a little bit more aggressive, but overall he's alright in terms of like how different he is from phase 1 to phase 2. He introduces frost, and it's just okay. I don't think anything about him really stands out for me. This is a fight. It's a good fight. It doesn't have much that I can complain about, but it also doesn't have much that I can praise about. So I would put him in B tier. This tree dude. Now, I don't know how I feel about this one, because he has enemies in the arena, which I absolutely hate, and he deserves to be here. But then he also has a gimmick about him, which kind of makes the fight pretty easy. And I think as soon as the floor breaks and everybody falls down, I think everybody dies. And as long as a boss overall is garbage, but they have a pretty like easy to read gimmick about it, I feel like it's a well done gimmick boss. I think he's not too bad. He's bad, but he's not very bad. Like, he's definitely a bad boss, but I wouldn't say that he's like a terrible boss. Obviously, one thing that does make him pretty bad is whenever he like spews whatever like the poison on the ground, and then now you have to either just take the tick damage and poise through to hit the balls, or you have to just wait it out, and then still there's a chance that, you know, he can just throw it out again. That is the only thing I think I personally found annoying about him, but other than that, I thought he's okay. Like, he's bad, but he's a tolerable bad. All right, now this guy, he spams magic, he summons, and then all of them can hit you, and they don't go away unless you either go hit the main person or you actually go kill them. And I think they are one shot, but just because there's like 4 other enemies, I personally think it's not very difficult to spot who the real one is, but the fact still remains that I'm gonna get bombarded by other enemies from 4 different sides. And I personally don't like that. I think this boss I absolutely hated, and there was just nothing I liked about this boss. He's just terrible. Like, why does he need so many summons? I don't know. You just go do some more damage to him and he teleports away, and then he summons more, 5 other people, and then it's just like you constantly chasing the boss around. It's just an annoying boss fight that I just absolutely didn't have fun with. Another boss fight that definitely deserves F, and it's even worse than Crystal Sage. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, the fuck is this? Also, why do these people just keep respawning? I actually legit thought that I can get rid of everybody else and I'll be like, yeah, now it's just 1 person remaining, and maybe if I do that and I kill that last person, the main boss will spawn and I can just kill him. No, if you kill a certain amount of these guys, they just spawn more around the boss arena. It's a never-ending army of stupid enemies that don't really contribute much to the fight. Then they also have an attack where they put a cloud up in the sky, and as long as it's not interrupted, you can get cursed. And once you get cursed, you're dead. It doesn't matter how much health you have, you're just dead. This boss fight is honestly like absolute dog waters. I don't know what they were thinking when they fucking designed this fight. I absolutely hate this boss fight. Just pure shit. Alright, a good boss fight now though. Abyss Watchers. You know, when I saw the summon, I legit was like, this boss fight is fucking stupid, I'm gonna hate this boss fight. And then another one popped up and he started helping me. And that was awesome. It was just beautiful. It adds so much to the cutscene that we just watched, where like the final one that we fight just killed one of his own kind. I don't know if that's the lore behind why the other one comes and attacks, but I thought that was actually really cool. And if you want to do a boss fight with multiple enemies, I think that is one of the ways of doing it. Boss got a help, you get a help as well. And I don't want the help to be summons. You know, I wish they designed the bosses. Obviously, it's not for Dark Souls 3, it's more for Elden Ring. But I wish they designed the bosses where summons add an extra help, not that the boss is designed around summons. Anyways, I think Abyss Watchers, I don't know if I want to put them in S tier or if I would put him A+. I think he's better than Gundyr, like more fun than Gundyr, but obviously like we're comparing bosses in a different point in the story. But yeah, I absolutely had so much fun, and his attacks are like really good. Like, I didn't personally think that he had any attacks that were bullshit. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think he deserves an S tier. Like, I can't think of anything negative to say about him. Abyss Watchers, or them, I guess, plural. Yeah, there's just nothing negative about this boss that I have personally. I thought that this boss fight was just awesome. Yeah, there's that, you know, maybe 3 seconds when the boss has help, but you don't, and your guy is still like getting up. So you kind of have to wait for that. I mean, obviously, if you're good at it, I guess you can just make it so that the help doesn't interfere in the main boss fight somehow. Maybe you are so good at like positioning and stuff. Not for me. I like I said, play with lock on, so I need the helper before I can go continue fighting the boss. But apart from those 3 dreadful seconds, which I think is totally fair, he's a really good boss, and he doesn't like run away from you. He's always up there in your face, you know, so you can just dodge and then go right back into attacking. You don't feel like it's a chore. It's actually a really good, well-designed fight, and I had a lot of fun in this fight. So yeah, S tier for sure. My bad. Should not have put you in A. Wolnir. He's a gimmicky boss. I mean, gimmick as in he's actually a gimmick boss where he has the bracelets on his wrist that you have to destroy. I think that's fine, but the summoning part is pretty trash. So I don't think he's on par with Vordt. Is he better than the wood, or is he worse? Because I think he's also really good. Like it's not that hard for you to understand where the weakness is, because they are like pretty shiny. I think he's better than the wood, because he at least doesn't have the annoying pools of poisons around. Like there's no area control basically that this guy does. You can just continuously keep attacking at his bracelets. And I think his summons, personally in my fight, I don't know how like bad they can be. Maybe I need to fight him like more than once. But in my fight, I personally thought that his summons weren't interfering much. Like they were there, but they didn't really do much. So I think he's fine right here. All right, moving on. Pontiff. He is the only boss in Dark Souls 3 that I fought with a summon, because when I arrived at Pontiff's door, there was a summon sign. I was ambered up, and I fought him with a summon. And I think I really enjoyed the fight, apart from the summon. But that's where my problem is. That kind of made me like think, is the summon there only because he can summon like a shadowy figure in the second phase? And another problem with the shadowy figure is the position reset. I always would attack the main Pontiff and hope that my summon would take away his summon. But then as soon as Pontiff would aggro on me and move away, his clone would also reset to being inside him, and they both would be again on me. And I didn't like that part. Yeah, I think he's just an alright boss. B tier, unfortunately. I don't know, like, I think a lot of people probably are gonna like this fight a lot more than I did, but I fought him with a summon, so I think that made the whole fight a lot easier than it should be. There was one instance when both of them were attacking at me, and I hate that. Whenever there's more than one person attacking me, more than one boss, it's just so easy for them to like buffer their attack that they roll catch you, and I just don't like that, you know? Like, there's only one way for me to avoid attacks. I didn't parry this guy. Apparently my friend said that, you know, you can parry this guy, he's pretty easy, but he also said the same thing, that he's not into parries, so he never tried him with the parries. And I am also like not into parries. Maybe I should have tried him with parries, maybe I would have liked him more, but how I played him, I think that's where I'm gonna put him. He's really cool with his two swords, but the clone really drags him down. I think otherwise he's definitely a better fight than Gundyr. I think he has a nice move set and really like cool looking moves. I also saw the little hint of Consort's big combo, so that's really cool, but at the same time the frickin' summon just drags him down so bad. Aldrich. Okay, I don't know where to put this guy. He's definitely in B tier. He's not in C. He's not equal to these guys. But is he the last in the B tier? His rain of arrows is so bad. You just have to run. I don't know if there's anything else that you can do about him, but that's the only way I could figure out to dodge it. I even tried like running through or something else, and I'm like, it's just not working, and I just didn't have fun. So that part is pretty terrible. Overall, this boss fight though, I don't know how I feel about even ranking him, because all I did was I went up to his tail. Most of his attacks were missing me because he just likes to attack it in front of himself. And that's kind of how I fought Vordt as well, which is why I feel like they're kind of similar, even though their body shapes are different. You can just go behind him, attack his tail, and you're perfectly fine for most of the attacks. He does teleport a few times, but I think his teleportation is not too bad. If anything, it like breaks the flow of the fight, but in a nice way. I don't think it breaks the flow in a bad way, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, I think he's a low B for me, just an alright boss. I mean, I am kind of tempted to put him here because of his stupid rain, but for the most part, he doesn't interfere when the rain is going on, so you are able to get away. There's also some pillars that you can like take cover from, so it's not too bad. It's just tedious because in that moment you can't really do anything but just run around. So yeah, that's how I feel about him. Yhorm the Giant. Now, I could not figure out how to fight him the right way. So I don't know if I should even rank him, because I fought him with my dual blades and then I had to switch to my Uchi because my blades were about to break. But even though it was a very long fight, it was a fun fight. I think he has a decent moveset. I think obviously if I was able to figure out the gimmick, I would definitely put him in A. I think he's a really cool boss with a really cool gimmick. I read the description of the weapon and I don't remember anywhere reading that I needed to hold the weapon for a certain amount of time before I could do an attack that would do like a ranged attack. So why didn't they mention it? I don't know. I actually tried holding it when I was testing it at the Grace. I'm like, okay, let's see. But the hold was just a little too long, and I was stopping before reaching that point probably. I kind of wish, but like, how long do you expect a player to just hold and see what's gonna happen? And then the animation is very similar to Square Off, so that's where my problem is. Like in Square Off, as soon as you bring your sword up, you don't hold for anything, you just let it out, unless it was like explicitly mentioned anywhere. And that's the whole reason that I was like, yeah, I don't care, I don't want to hold it. But that is also a user error because I couldn't figure it out. I don't know if other people were able to figure it out or if they looked it up. I looked it up after beating him. I was like, I don't want to look it up before. So even though it's a user error, I think I'll demote him to B. I had fun in my 11-12 minutes of fighting him. So his combos are like very easy to read. I didn't really struggle with much except for his stomp. Every single time I was getting hit by it, but it didn't do damage to me. So I was like, frick it, if it's not doing any damage to me, I don't care about the stomp anymore. So call it a user error, call it whatever, but I think I'm gonna put him here. Can you fucking move, Pontiff? Don't make me mad, I'll move you behind Vordt. Oh, Dancer. I personally really enjoyed this fight. I think Dancer is a really cool fight. The combos are really cool. I think the biggest piece of satisfaction I felt in this game was when I dodged the big spinny attack on the Dancer by just like strafing around, and then the final one I just dodged. That felt so good. But now in terms of ranking, is it better than Abyss Watchers? I think I'll put Dancer below, but I had so much fun. This fight is actually really good, and yeah, the model of the boss is also really cool, the two swords. And again, I feel like maybe apart from one time the grab attack, I thought the hitbox really went like half a circle around the boss. But that's fine. Grab attacks are usually like that. I think I dodged a little too early. I think I dodged the wrong hitbox basically, and then ended in the later on hitbox, which is why I got grabbed. But I had so much fun fighting this boss. I think really cool boss, just amazing. Oceiros. What was he? The Consumed King. I think he's just a worse Vordt in my opinion. He's cool, but most of the first phase he just like talks, which I'm not here to talk. Like there's no way I'm gonna listen to what he's saying. One of my senses will work at once. I'm either listening to what you're saying or I'm just looking at your attacks. And I was definitely just looking at his attacks. But his first phase attacks, like for the most part, were all right. Like he had decent bit of attacks. Second phase was kind of weird. He was hitting me with his attacks as soon as he was starting the attack. There was no buffer. Like the attack starts and it has a hitbox. So I was getting hit by everything whenever like I was trying to fight by staying underneath him. I just don't get it. Like why is there no like, he's like, all right, time to charge, and then bam. So yeah, that's my only complaint about him. But otherwise, I first tried him, which is why I didn't get to see a whole lot. He also talked about somebody named Ocelot, and I thought he was going to summon somebody in his second phase, and that was going to be like a semi-duo fight in the second phase, but it wasn't the case. So I guess maybe it's also that whole monologue set like an expectation for me, and it never happened. It was just him running around. I don't know. I'm not too big into the lore, but he was continuously calling for Ocelot, and I definitely thought for sure that some Ocelot was gonna show up, but nobody ever did. Just, all right, boss. Dragon Slayer armor. I think this boss is really cool. He's very cool. He's pretty easy to read. I think I got him on my second attempt, but still he has like a decent bit of attacks. I don't know what he does in the second phase. I got hit by something that was like coming from the side. I couldn't see what it was. I was just too focused on him. There's also destroyable ledges on the side and you can fall from them, and I did fell, which was kind of funny. Also, like, probably the best kill that I got in the whole playthrough was on this boss, so it kind of just has like a big moment that happened and it just stayed in my head. So maybe I'm partial because of that, but I don't have like much to complain about except for that garbage that flew and hit me. So maybe if in future I go and refight him, maybe I'll try and pay more attention to the surroundings and see. But other than that, like, solid boss, just not much to complain about, and I think that's all I will rate him based off of. Alright, the Lothric Prince. I absolutely hated this boss. I had no fun in fighting this boss, but at the same time, I don't know, man. Like, his teleportation I thought was very bullshit, because for me he was like teleporting quite a bit, and I'm okay if the boss is like, you know, gonna teleport and teleports further away, but has an attack that they charge, which gives you enough time to like figure out where the boss teleported to and you can dodge it. He would teleport mid-attack, and then that attack would come out from any side. Obviously, after enough practice, you'll just know, okay, if he teleported in that moment, I have about like 1 second, 1.5 seconds to dodge. But when fighting for like the second time, that just felt like stupid. And then comes the second phase where he gets a dude on his back, I think his brother, and then he has ranged spells. So while he's bombarding you with his ranged spell, this guy is teleporting around you, also trying to hit you. I just didn't like that part. But one thing I did like was that you can kill the guy on the back and the fight's over. But if you kill the guy who's fighting you with the sword, the guy on the back revives him. But if you kill the guy on the back, the fight's over. It doesn't matter how much HP the guy in the front has. That's, I think, really nice and like kind of a cool gimmick. But my first impression of the boss was really bad. However, the problem I have in front of me is, right now, after defeating him, I don't think he deserves to be an F tier because he's definitely a better boss than the Tree and Wolnir. Is he better than Aldrich? No. I think I'll take Aldrich's reign over this guy attacking and his brother spamming. So I think I'm gonna put him here. It's honestly so annoying that that's the case. Like, right now, I'm kind of regretting how much I hate this guy because I think he's kind of cool. But the teleportation, man, I hate teleportation. And I think this guy teleports the good amount. This guy teleports unnecessarily. I remember there was one point when he was just teleporting like 3 times in a row, and I don't like that. If maybe, let's say that in the second phase, because his brother is on his back, he couldn't teleport in his second phase, but now obviously they have the spam spell bullshit, perfectly fine. This fight would be immediately better in my eyes than at least Pontiff. But right now, that's where he belongs. Soul of Cinder. I already said what I think about this guy, and I'm gonna do exactly what he deserves. S tier, and my absolute favorite boss fight in the whole game. He's just so cool. His moveset is so cool. And if you want to add a gimmick to a boss, add a gimmick like he has. He can have an incantation which can heal him. He transforms his sword into a staff, then he casts spells. He can make it a curved sword. Now he has a different moveset. He can make it a long sword. Now he has a different moveset. It's just so cool. Like, everything about this boss is just so cool. I had so much fun fighting this final boss. I think anything that I was not feeling about the game after fighting him, this guy restored it. He reminded me why people love FromSoft. Just an awesome boss, my absolute GOAT of this game. And these are the bosses that I didn't fight, but for the bosses that I fought in my first playthrough, this is the tier list. And yeah, that's how I feel about the bosses of Dark Souls 3. Hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.